Yes, guys, and welcome. Oh, my bad. Yes, guys, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boys, Dave and Sean, bringing back the Davies, Sean, this Monday afternoon for you guys. A couple of transfer rumours to go through, and then a couple of other questions for me and Sean to discuss at the end. If you guys do want to get involved, make sure you put your questions in the chat for us to be able to discuss. The deal is we're going to run from now until 2 o'clock. It'll be a sharp 2 o'clock finish on that regard. But look, let's check in with Shawnee, see how he is. Shawnee, how are you, my man?
I am very well, mate. Very well. I'm a little bit scared. I've got a dentist today, and I haven't been to the dentist in a while, so I need to. I'm changing to a new dentist, so I need to probably brace myself for a bit of prodding and probing and those sorts of things, you know. But apart from that, mate, I am good. Bugsy's here with me. She's good. She says hello to the Irish army, the flat cap army, and all that.
Well, big up, Bugsy. First of all, on the dentist, lad, I mean, it's absolutely horrible, especially if they ever have to whip out that drill. I mean, it's just so uncomfortable. It's unbelievable. No one likes the prodding and probing, that's for sure. You know, I absolutely hate the dentist. Thank God I don't have to go to it that often, just for, you know, your sort of annual checkups and that. But I'm lucky in that regard because honestly, I'm a baby when I reach the dentist. I have to bring the missus in to hold my hand and everything. I'm a joke. Let's welcome a few people in, though. Leslie Crawford, for all Emerson's faults, he has conceded less Premier League goals per game played than any of our other current defenders. Dermot John, good afternoon. Sorry, says, guys, hope you have a great stream watching you all as I work. It's game week as Spurs continue their way to Wembley. Come on, you Spurs, which I absolutely can't wait about. Big up the Tron. Big up Michael as well. Boys, extremely excited by Szymanski links, but I'm afraid the jump might prove too big. Nevertheless, I would love a Polish guy to represent our beautiful club. Look, we will get on to that. I'm going to ask Sean about that. I didn't have time to make a graphic for it, but we will ask Sean. I know he put out a video already on it, which I'll link you guys to at the very end as well. Stratter says, big up chat, big up Dave, and big up Shawnee, big up Stratters, big up John Ratcher as well. Look, it's always me. If anyone's late to a stream, it's always me. I leave everything to the last minute. I'm an absolute disaster, my man. Big up Rain Man as well. Big up Davy Hall as well. Keep Royale for now. Need a young squad for this type of football. Respect to the flat cap crew. Big yourself up. We also have Samantha watching from South Australia. Big up. Whereabouts in South Australia, Samantha? We have Ren as well. Big up the crew. Great to see you. Keith Edwards. There must be a time difference as Dave is in Ireland. No, not between me and Shawnee anyway. I think we're on the same time. Not between us. I know if you go across Europe, you get pulled back by an hour and stuff like that. Leslie Crawford. Big up Dave and Sean and all in the chat. Big up Leslie. Great to see you. Along with Carl Gurka, midnight in Melbourne. Big up Sean, Dave, and chat. Big up Carl. Absolute dedication to the cause. Love that, my man. Big yourself up. Sean, we have an early question in there for you from Rayman. Why Bugsy and not Tallulah?
No, why Bugsy and not Tallulah? That's from that's from the film Bugsy Malone. I don't know if have you seen the film Bugsy Malone? It's like a children's movie from like the early 90s, where they fired shotguns with marshmallows in them, and I forget, Tallulah was like the girl, like the kind of the Marilyn Monroe kind of character. You know, they're obviously playing like a kind of a children's version of a grown-up gangster movie. Yeah. I forget, she went into becoming like a superstar in her later years. I forget who it was, but yeah, not Tallulah. It should have been Tallulah probably. But Bugsy Malone is Bugsy Malone. I don't know. Every person I meet goes, "Oh, he's a nice dog." I'm like, "It's a she." They're like, "Yeah, I thought it was Bugsy Malone though." I was like, "It is, but it's still a she."
Confusion in the highest order, but it's 2023, you know. Big up. We also have Daniel Borden. Big up, lads. Great to see you. Faz Radfar. Big up, lads. Hope you're well. 3-0 Spurs, not 3-1. When it comes to the City home game, look, they do struggle to score at our place, which is absolutely a bonus. Big up, Derek Hutchinson as well. Great to see you, along with Mr. Sinclair as well. Big up. We have Mark Goldbridge. Reed, what do you think of Spurs signing Mbuemo in the summer? Look, I like Mbuemo. I don't think it'll happen, though. We don't have a good relationship with trying to buy Brentford players at this point. And then also big up Bradley Thompson, Jody Foster, and then Gary Paul Speed. Long time no see, sir. How are you keeping, my man? Good afternoon, gents. Always love both your channels and content. Keep up the great work. In Ange, we trust. Come on, you Spurs. Well, guys, this is a bit of a bonus stream for you. Your second of the day here at the Irish Hotspur, and we'll waste no time and get straight into it. Now, of course, reports came out yesterday. Dan Kilpatrick put out something else again today. Basically saying Al Nassr are considering an improved offer for Emerson Royal, but Spurs would only sell the Brazil defender for big money this month, as they're not keen on losing the player mid-season. Al Nassr had an opening bid in the region of £20 million for Emerson, rejected by Spurs, but have not given up the hope of landing him. Look, first of all, 20 million is way too low. I think we paid 25.8 million from Barcelona, so they're going to have to trump that. But Sean, just before I'll get into whether you want to keep Emerson or not, how much of a price tag do you think it'll take Al Nassr to be able to sway Tottenham into maybe accepting a bid? For me, I reckon it could be upward in and around 40 million. I think they'll try and take advantage of the Saudi money. I can't see them selling any, for any less, and it wouldn't make sense in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Late 30s, 40 million. But listen, I don't think it will happen. I don't want it to happen. And I think Emerson Royal would turn it down. This guy, as much as, he's a fun, I spoke about him on the video I did earlier. As much as he's a fun-loving guy, great personality, always smiling, despite all of the kind of knockbacks and the criticism he's taken from Tottenham fans that expected him to be, the perfect right back. And he loves his music and all that stuff. He's always, he's just a typical kind of South American samba-loving kind of guy. Ultimately, though, behind all of that is a dedicated professional who is desperate to improve his craft. He spent £1 million of his own money getting help from various experts on how to improve and how to emulate the likes of, the better right backs out there. This guy is not someone that's willing to just sacrifice his career in the best league in the world to go for the money. I'd be absolutely astonished if he had any interest at all in going to Saudi Arabia. We're starting to see that some of the shining light, the glimmering sparkle, all that glitters is not gold, so to speak. And I think a lot of people are starting to see who have gone to Saudi Arabia are not that, wowed by the experience. So I think they're playing. A lot of the games are played at university campuses and things, and the crowds aren't very big. Cristiano Ronaldo can talk all he wants and say that in a couple of years' time, this league will be in the top 5 leagues in world football. He's in dream world, but it's just not. There's not the energy. There's not the passion that there is in the rest of Europe. In Saudi Arabia, the fans haven't, as far as I can tell, and maybe speaking on behalf of a nation here, and I shouldn't be, but I just don't see Emerson Royal, the sort of version of him that I've read about, that I've seen, the fun-loving but absolutely dedicated to his craft professional. I'd be astonished if he wanted to go to Saudi Arabia. I really would.
Big up James from Spurs related as well. Look, do you know what? For me, I look at it and I think there's certain players in this squad that have a narrative formed around them from when Paratici first came in, because of people's preconceived on Paratici. That's Gill, that's Emerson, and there's one or two others who will never, ever get a fair crack at a whip at Tottenham Hotspur, no matter what they do, because of them preconceived notions. When I look at Emerson, does he get into our first team? No. But is he a useful asset for Tottenham Hotspur? Yes. For me, we have to look beyond the first team. We're building for the future. We're building for next season to go out on all 4 competitions. And compared to other players we've had around here over the years, and I go back to the likes of Doherty, Aurier, people like that, at least you can depend on this guy when he walks in. I get people have frustrations with how good he's on the ball, but first and foremost, he is a defender, and it's good to have one great attacking option in Porro and one good defensive option in Emerson, depending on what you need for the situation. But when it comes to cup games, I know what I'm going to get from Emerson. The problem down years gone by is I didn't know what I was going to get from backup players, and that's why I was very unhappy to see them in the starting lineup if needed. Whereas with Emerson, I know exactly what I'm going to get. If Al Nassr came in with 35 to 40 million and Spurs had someone else lined up this window who I would say, looking at it straight away and go, it's definitely better than Emerson, maybe I'd reconsider. But up until that point, for me, I'm battening the hatchet down. I want to keep this guy. When I look at a squad player, he's exactly what I want. Doesn't kick up a fuss. Will take all the stick off the fans, and he'll just keep going, keep doing what he needs to do to improve himself. In years gone by, we've had players who have blamed every circumstance in and around the club for their failings. This guy, when he spent his own money, just to pay a life coach to tell him how to live right, to get himself in the best shape possible, to go into training, into games and stuff like that. And he's the sort of attitude I want in my squad.
100%.
Now, rumours are is that Emerson has no intention to go out to Saudi Arabia, so they could be bidding for a lost cause here. And I agree with you, Shawnee. I don't think he's that sort of temperament to do that. When I see a guy investing his own wages into his own career, which many professionals don't actually do, in terms of putting stuff right behind the scenes and stuff like that, why would he give, with a mentality like that, why would he give it all up to go out to Saudi Arabia? Personally, I don't see it. And I think we should be looking at this through a Spurs lens rather than an Emerson lens. And for me, when I look at through a Spurs lens, we've got no cover for Doji at left back. People can say Ben Davies all they want. He played there against Fulham. Van de Ven had to cover him all night. He played there against Palace. Van de Ven had to cover him all night. He doesn't have the legs to play there anymore. He's a liability out left back. He's a lot more comfortable in at centre back. Emerson can fill in at left back. Emerson can also come in at right back. Thank God we won't need to anymore. Touch wood, hopefully we won't need to anymore. But he can also fill in at centre back. And for me, he's the sort of squad player I'd like to keep around here until the time comes where we could line up a better sort of replacement going forward. Sean, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, look, I echo what you're saying, right? I don't think, like, there's three parties that have to agree to a transfer. There's both clubs and the player, and I don't think the player would want to go. But I tell you what, if someone, Al Nassr, looking for a right back from Tottenham, maybe there is a player amongst our ranks that that might have the character that want to go for the money and go and sit in the sun for a couple of years. Jed Spence, if they want to pay 25 million pounds, let us get our money back for Jed Spence. I'd be more than happy to see that happen. He doesn't come across like he has the kind of the character that's going to take his career particularly seriously. Again, maybe I'm sort of pigeonholing him, and maybe that's wrong of me to do so. But if they are looking for a right back from Tottenham, Jed Spence is the guy.
I played left back for Genoa yesterday, left wing back actually for Genoa, played full 90 minutes. Hopefully, he has a good season there so we can get some cash value out of Genoa. If not, we'll definitely be touting them towards the Saudi League for sure. But guys, that's our thoughts on Emerson. I've seen a lot of your thoughts in there. I think a lot of you actually agree with me and Sean. Feel free to disagree, Don, if you do put in why. I know Cantab maybe is sort of disagreeing a little. Big yourself up, my man. But now that brings me on to the Norwegian wonder kid, Antonio Nusa. And this is from Fabrizio Romano's latest. There's been other bits and pieces put out there by Dan Kilpatrick and others. But when it comes to this deal, unfortunately, Fabrizio Romano is the only man I'm going to listen to. I don't want to get myself too hyped up too early. But the latest from Fabrizio Romano was, understand Nusa deal will enter into key stages soon as there's new rounds of talks scheduled between Tottenham and Club Brugge. Spurs know about other clubs' interest and want to push ASAP. Nusa does not want to leave now, but deal could be agreed for July. Just quickly, Sean, if you were to take a stab at it or a guess at it, why do you think Nusa probably might not want to leave now?
The guy's 18. I think, might be happy in Belgium. Maybe he's got himself a girlfriend who's not quite finished school yet, or not quite, university. Maybe she doesn't want to leave. I don't know. I've got no idea why he wouldn't want to leave yet. But look, I don't think that's fine. It's absolutely fine with me. I want to keep one eye on the present, and a very strong eye on the long term. And I think if you were to look at two of our most recent acquisitions, where we sign players, let them stay where they were for a year or for the rest of the season, and then come over, it's ultimately been a massive benefit to Tottenham. So I don't know whether Destiny Udogie would have acclimated and been as good this season had he come over immediately. When there's a lot to take in. You get a big move, and you've got to move home, and you've got to move country. Like I say, from someone who's moved home and moved country and moved business 3 or 4 times, 5 times in my life, I've changed my actual country of residence. It's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of disruption and a lot of pressure. So maybe there's a bit of an intangible benefit to knowing that in 6 months' time you're going to be somewhere else, but that you have that sort of time to kind of to let all that information be absorbed into your young mind, And so I'm more than okay with it. It seems like it's worked for Tottenham. I don't know why he would want to stay, but I'm sure I know why the club would want him to stay. He's doing really good things there when he does play. he's a terror. He's an absolute fear factor kind of player off the left-hand side, someone that they would have seen value in, someone that we're going to hopefully see value in as well. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If we can get it done, do it. And I'm happy for him to stay there and then see him next season.
Do you know what? I actually think it's probably smart on the player's point of view. You know, you move in January, everything's sort of rushed. You have to rush yourself to find a place to live, and you can really get it wrong. And, you know, if you get the off-the-field stuff wrong, it can affect your on-the-field. For me, I think he's looking at it. Finish out the season at Club Brugge, finish it nice and strong, and give myself time in the summer, no matter where I end up moving to, give myself time to properly find the right area, you know, around the right location around the area for me to settle in and stuff like that. For me, I actually think it's very, very smart, giving himself time to adjust. And plus, coming in here in December, Spurs fans will expect him to hit the ground running as an 18-year-old. Whether we sit here and you know, oh, he's only 18, you got to give him time. The reality is, as soon as he takes the pitch, no one's going to give the guy time to settle in. I think whereas come the summer, he'll have time to settle in, find his surroundings, pre-season, get used to the players, get used to the style of play, and give himself a better chance to hit the ground running next summer. So I think it's actually very, very smart on Antonio Nusa's point of view. And I like the fact that, you know, him and people in around his camp aren't in a mad dash or a mad rush to get this guy to the very top level. They believe in his ability that much that they're saying, hang on, we'll sit back here for another few months up until the summer because he's going to get to the top of the game anyway. I think it's very, very sort of smart in that regard, Shawnee.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Like I say, I just think that there's a lot of disruption to doing everything really quick. And you know, when you're 25 years old or whatever, and you're halfway through your career, you know, there's a bit more expectation. Even in, you know, in real world, 25 is still very young. But when you're a footballer, you're halfway through or almost halfway through your career. So there's an expectation of maturity. But at 18 years old, you know, the guy, he's still a child, isn't he? Or he's just turned a man, whatever, if you want to call it that. But yeah, no reason to rush this. It's so important that he's as comfortable as possible so that he can hit the ground running, as you say. I'm not going to repeat what you said. I echo it 100%, mate.
Look, you know, and it's 18 years of old. I mean, you know, I used to faint when I used to see a pair of titties at 18, you know what I mean? So the guy's absolutely, you know, ripping up for his age at that age group. But Shawnee, I want to play a bit of devil's advocate here just quickly, my man. Look, we'll get into why I think many Spurs fans are excited about Nusa after, but just to play a devil's advocate, is that money that we're about to spend on Nusa, which would probably be in around 25 or 30 million to be able to get the deal done? Some Spurs fans would argue that's a waste of money in a way, and it should be spent on the here and now this January to bring in reinforcements to help up until the end of the season. What would you say to that?
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, there's that side of the argument, right? And 30 million quid's a lot of money, but we don't know what sort of, this guy could become the next. Tottenham are crying out for a winger that terrorizes players, right? Absolutely crying out. Now, listen, I'm not against the idea of bringing him in, loaning him back, and then also, now that we've got space in the squad because Ivan Perisic has gone, you know, I think that you could make the argument that Manor Solomon's coming back so he can play that value add that we haven't had for the last sort of, you know, third of the season. Or you could go and get a 6-month loan deal for someone else, like someone like a Jota, someone else who comes in and just does a job. I've been very much on board this. I've been trying to push this narrative, right? That there's so many moving pieces right now in the world of football. We're entering a different era. We've come through the era where the last sort of 10, 15 years, the most successful clubs have been, or the majority of the most successful clubs have been ones that have had sugar daddy financing of some sort or another, and there hasn't been any bite to the rules, hasn't been any teeth in the rules. Now we're coming in, hopefully, into an era, where the consequences of overspend, of financial mismanagement, are going to start to be felt. And as a natural kind of side effect of that, I think that there's going to be a lot of clubs around Europe, but especially in the Premier League, that are looking over their shoulder, and that as of June the 30th will have to hand over their audits or their accounts to be audited by the club, by the Premier League, for next year's FFP and PSR rulings. And so there might well be a lot of deals to be done in the first early stages of the summer. But at the same time, there is also the possibility, if you extend that line of thought, where there's going to be clubs that don't want to sell their best assets because they're close to the line. They're very close to the threshold. They might be a few £1 million over. They might be sitting there looking at their numbers going, damn it, man, if we put these accounts in right now with our wage structure as it is, with our reports as it looks, we're going to have £108 million of losses over the last 3 years. And the threshold's £105 million. We need to sort something out. And you know what? That to me suggests that there might be opportunities to go and get loans with loan fees for the next 6 months and say, we'll pay 100% of your player's wage and we'll give you a cheeky couple of £1 million, sort of like what we've done with Timo Werner. But also you might be able to do it again with someone else. It might be a midfielder. It might be a left winger. And so I think that you can have your cake and eat it right now if you're Tottenham. If you're smart, you can go and get an Antonio Nusa for next year and for the next 5 years and gamble that this kid is the next big thing. And at the same time, you can still go and find maybe, just maybe, a little precious diamond in the rough somewhere where you can borrow that player from a really good club for 6 months because they need that money just to stay the right side of the threshold. And then they can have him back in 6 months' time. So they haven't had to permanently sell the player in order to cover a very short-term issue. You know, it's the opposite of a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, right? It's like a leg cast for a paper cut. You don't want, like, clubs don't want to have to sell their best assets if they're very close to the margin, but they do need to do something. And so I think Tottenham could do both. I think there's enough time left in the window for Tottenham to get this done and still go and get whoever it is. A Jota might be the right example, or somebody else that can offer the value. I'm spitballing, but I think that, like I say, this opportunity, this new era of football, for me, is representing a new opportunity, and Tottenham are really well placed, thankfully, to take full advantage.
Look, I think it's a hard one to weigh up, because last thing you want to do is, you know, go and spend money on a player and clog up the system who maybe is only good enough and you only see coming in here as a short period of time. You know, we've done great work over the last, I'd say, 2 windows to really clear the decks off, clear the books off of shit who are on high wages. And last thing you want to do is now panic and get yourself back into that situation. So it's a really sort of hard one to weigh up. Look, Tottenham have looked for Conor Gallagher. It seems to be their number one target. They've looked at a couple of others and they can't get them. So what do they do from there? Look, when it comes to Antonio Nusa, look, it worked out for us with Destiny Adoji, right? And hopefully this will be the sort of same situation. I think Spurs probably have been inquiring about this guy earlier in the window, realised they probably won't get the deal done this window, and that's probably why they brought Timo Werner in here on loan to cover that left-hand side, you know, up until the end of the season. But also what Tony says here, Spurs will never buy the elite players in their prime, you know. We just don't do it. So if we want elite players in their prime, we have to go and get them in early and develop them. And that's something that Spurs have done very well down over the years. Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, Aaron Lennon, Gareth Bale, Luka Modric, people like that who went on to become top Premier League players, you know, where we garnered a lot of sort of interest in them. And I do think we're sort of getting back to do that. But also, you look at a lot of the top clubs, Liverpool, even in their rebuild, they were still signing young players for the future. Man City were still doing it. And it's something Spurs, Real Madrid do it all the time, bringing in Brazilian wonder kids and stuff like that. And it's something Spurs have to do because, look, you can't go into every window and expect that money, you know, laying down 50, 60 million is going to solve your problem. And it's also not sustainable every single window. At some point, you have to produce players as well. And, you know, for me, I'm okay with this sort of business, you know, sign them now because, believe it or not, Real Madrid be interested, Barcelona are interested. I know Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool have all looked at this guy already. So for me, I think it'd be a smart bit of business. Get him in now under all their noses and let him develop. But Sean, that brings me on to sort of the next question around Nusa. Why do you think so many Spurs fans are excited about Nusa and want to get this deal done, even though it is sort of pay now and get in the summer?
Yeah, I think just quickly, there's one last point I forgot to mention on the last part of the conversation about, you know, whether it's right to delay it or go for it now. I would make the argument, I know that, you know, me and you are very optimistic Tottenham fans, but I think that when you look at Liverpool's performance, even without Salah, the way they dispatched Bournemouth in the second half, I think they're 8 points clear of us now. You know, the Premier League, that's a massive sort of gap to close in the last 16 or 18, 17 games of the season. So I feel like The Premier League is a step too far this season, and I think that the FA Cup we'll see on Friday night, right? If we get past Manchester City, then you might see there's still enough time left in the window, 4 or 5 days or 4 days left in the window after that particular round. So maybe they'll reassess and think, do you know what? We've got past Manchester City. The FA Cup is it's a really good opportunity. But if you do lose out to Manchester City on Friday night, then top 4 is really, or top 5 it will be, is really our realistic goal for the rest of the season. And I think we've got enough about us to get through with what we've done and what we should have with likes of Timo Werner and stuff. So again, always keep one eye on the reality, one eye on the future, and try and think about what's the best thing for Tottenham overall. In terms of Antonio Nusa, generally why do players really like him? Look, I think if you look at his clips and you look at his, on the Y Scout, you dig into what he really does. And then obviously the stats support this. He does things that we don't have as a player, right? He terrorizes defenders. I think that Tottenham, we've got a lot of players that have been able to play on the width, and we've got a lot of forwards, but none of them really do what we really want from a wide man, which is to get the ball to his feet and to be unpredictably sort of volatile with the ball at his feet, step overs, driving at players. His first thought, if you look at his stats, 80% of the time he touches the ball, he takes it on. He runs with it on some degree, right? And he's very, very good at getting to the byline. He can cut inside. He's good with both feet. He's got good step overs. He can cross the ball. He can score a goal or two. Like, this guy does something that we don't really have, and we haven't had in a long time. And if we're going to continue to play the Ange Ball system, then we need someone who can offer that. And I think this kid, for someone so young, has demonstrated so quickly the sort of capability that he has, and with the right nurturing and the right access to support, he can really be the next. He could be the next insert whichever exciting player you want. What do they call him? The Norwegian Neymar. They call him the next this, the next that. I think that, to me, the reason why it's exciting is because he's the sort of player that's going to get the fans in the stadium on the edge of their seat. He's an bums out of seats type of player, and Tottenham, my generation will remember David Ginola, right? Every time he got the ball, player. Unbelievable. I know he's your favorite player on FIFA, right? He's the guy that got us all out of our seats. Every single time he touched the ball, there was an air of optimism and excitement about what's going to happen. Gareth Bale, slightly different, but something similar in as much as, brilliant with the ball at his feet and would generate that buzz. And I think that this guy seems to have, in his young years, a lot of that kind of potential. And so it's an exciting prospect to bring in. Different to, like, if you were to go and get an 18-year-old like the Arta Vermeeren, who's a number 6 and 8, who can pass the ball and, spread the play. People aren't going to be like on the edge of their seats watching him. He's an exciting prospect for what he does very well, but he's not going to be as exciting as someone like this because people want to pay their money, and he's the sort of guy that justifies the price of the ticket.
Meant to say this on your show yesterday. I think someone's been following my Football Manager save, Shawnee. Wharton, Vermeeren, Nusa, Rooney. I've got them all in as youngsters. Developing them and stuff like that. Really? Yeah. I've got them all in. So I think someone's been looking at my Football Manager save. But look, when it comes to Nusa, look, it's no doubt that the guy's absolutely high rated. But like Shawnee, like what you said, what I really like about him is I hope it never gets coached out of him, because I do think it gets coached out of a lot of players now, is just getting on the ball, taking his man out, beating him and making something happen. But for an 18-year-old, the kid has the end product, which I think is very, very impressive. A lot of 18-year-olds show a lot of great promise, but is that sort of consistency of end product there? You'd argue, sometimes not, especially in Brennan Johnson's case. Whereas with Nusa, he's a very much like Johnson, gets into great positions, but he has that final ball. Also, he took to international football like a duck to water, and that's not easy to do. You hear a lot of players saying it's a complete different step up altogether. He's took to that like a duck in water, and he looks seasoned in the appearance that he's made for Norway so far. For me, I really like the kid, and I really do hope we can get this over the line, and I can understand why many Spurs fans are really, really excited over him. So look, hopefully we do get him in. Sean, we have a couple of super chats, and then I want to ask you, is Nusa Son's long-term replacement? Are Tottenham planning for the future in that regard? We have a super chat from Orox Beach. Big up, Orox Beach. Really appreciate the support, buddy. Sean, do you think since Son is getting older, well, here we go, I think he's answering my question, close to retirement age, that Levy will be looking for another South Korean star? Okay, it's a bit different because he doesn't want to lose that part revenue of the fan base. What would you say to that? Because I do think there's a valid question here. Because look, you would argue that Spurs have probably had the opportunity to cash into on Son somewhere along the line. Real Madrid were rumored at a period, never chose to do it, but they did with Harry Kane. And I know some will argue that Son signed a new contract, Harry Kane didn't, and I get that. However, Son is worth a lot more to Tottenham, than just on the field, what he provides on the field. You look at the revenue that the guy brings with him. Do you think Spurs will look to go back into that Asian market and bring in another player if Son was to ever leave?
Yeah, look,
their support is fanatical. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the players that are of sort of Tottenham's. I think there's only really four players. Well, yeah, there's Kang Lee, Kim Min Jae, Sonny, and Hwang from Wolves. After that, I think the next one is that Ujo Hwang, who plays for Norwich. Who's about 5 million. Everybody else after that is like kind of, not of the level. I don't think that would make it in the Premier League, at least from what I'm aware of. So, look, I definitely think that Daniel Levy commercially is always thinking, with his business mind around how do we replace that revenue. And look, for sure, he sells a hell of a lot of shirts out there, and did the preseason tour out there as well. So I think that it's a consideration. I mean, we tried to get Kim Min Jae, didn't we? But I don't think we're going to go down that. I think that ship has sailed. I think we're now set for centre backs. And in terms of Kang In Lee, I mean, look, he's a winger. He's a brilliant winger, plays for PSG. I'm a big fan of his. So if we're looking for someone that might be able to do it, then it's either going to be Kang In Lee from PSG or Hwang from Wolves. I think that Hwang from Wolves is, I don't know, like he's a good player, but I don't really think I'd be that blown away by the prospect of him in a Tottenham shirt. I think he's got good output, but
scores goals, yeah.
He does score goals, but I don't know if I'd really like to see it. But look, it's an interesting take, but there's just not that many great talents out there. I think maybe Tottenham might be might use that as a precedent to set, and then go and examine other nations maybe that are falling in love with football. Look, if, for example, maybe if there is, I know there's not as many Australians in the world, even though it's a massive plot of land. But I notice it from the comments in the shows that I do, how many Australian fans have turned their attention to Tottenham now because of Ange Postecoglou. So I don't know whether maybe we need to see if we can identify some youngsters from that part of the world to kind of embed that relationship and become the number one football supported team in Australia. I don't know, maybe, but yeah, listen, I just think that there's not a lot of choice at the moment in the Korean market, but maybe there's a few 17, 18-year-olds that are popping up that we could go and get hold of and see if they could become the next Sonny.
Do you know what? I don't even think it needs to be, just from sort of Korea either. I think they'd probably look at the likes of Japan. Who's that guy we're linked with from the Bundesliga? Ito, is it?
Ko Itakura. Yeah, there's Hiroki Ito, Ko Itakura. There's a couple of Japanese defenders that are really, really classy, and I would like both of them or either of them.
And I do think Daniel Levy will definitely look at it. We had I know he was what was Lee Pyong-yo or whatever you call him.
He was young Pyo Lee. He was Korean wasn't he, as well.
Yeah. So like we've had players like that down the past few years. Look, I think from a financial sense, from a financial point, I think it makes sense. But I don't want any of them to be here just as a token gesture. I don't think it's right for the player. I don't think it's right for, the continent and stuff like that. I want them here because they deserve to be here. Sonny deserves to be here. Look at the performance he puts in. And if we can find another Sonny, absolutely, I'll be all over it, Rock Speaks. But great question, my man. Absolute great question. But Dark Sung Ji will definitely be able to recommend a couple for us to sort of look at. Coming out of Korea and that Dark Sunji. So if you've got any names to put forward on the back of Orok's Beat Super Chat, put them forward. And again, you mentioned Kim Min Jae. I probably should have listened to Dark Sunji. I was a bit skeptical at the time. It's a big jump from the Chinese Super League to Europe. He went to Turkey. We probably could have pounced them. We chose not to. And now I think he's just priced out the market. But I should have listened to you back then, Dark Sunji. Says we have better success rate with players like Nusa, Sarr, Doji, or cheap Kario, Matters, Kulu than 50 million types Sanchez, Lo Celso, Tanguy, etc. And I absolutely agree with this. Look, what I will say, Dark Sun G, is I completely agree with you fully on this. Spurs notoriously, even go back to Soldado, back when we paid for him, that was a big fee at the time. But they do not do well coming into Tottenham Hotspur for some sort of reason. But I don't think it should put us off doing it in the future. I think right now we've got the right people in behind the scenes, the right transfer strategy, scouting strategy, and the right manager, because the biggest important thing is character, which no other manager really looked into when they were signing players before that. And Postecoglou, it's absolutely crucial for him. He wants to create sort of a big family environment, and you have to have the right characters to do that. Last thing you want is some knobhead in there, who's basically wrecking the gaff and, causing splits in the camps like we've had in the seasons gone by. So I completely agree with you, but I wouldn't put myself off doing it in the future because, like I said, right now I don't think we will miss with signings, because I'd argue when we sign them players, we were also missing when we were signing 10, 15 million players like Matt Doherty and people like that on top. I think it actually comes down to the recruitment strategy rather than Spurs just not being able to spend big. It looks like they can't because they've got misses. But like I said, all the other small signings that they made in around there, Session, people like that, they got wrong anyway. Whereas I think now, I would trust the club to go and bang 60 million on someone and for him to be the right player and actually make an impact at the club. Am I being deluded, Johnny?
No, I think you're spot on, mate. To be honest, yeah, I think the Dark Sun G is absolutely spot on as well. I guess the problem is that the people on the kind of the more pessimistic of the fan base would say, what success have we had? Yes, they've been better players, but ultimately we haven't won any trophies or anything else. And there is a lot of people that would say, you're not going to win trophies. Who was it who said it? Oh, sorry, I've got a phone call. Let me turn that off.
I know Dyer laughed when it was said to him.
Yeah, well, no, but there was someone said you don't. Who was it who said it? You don't win anything with. Was it Alan Hansen said you don't win anything with kids?
Oh yeah, about United.
Yeah, and he was wrong about that, right? But Tottenham have got a terrible track record when we spend big money, we get it wrong. When we spend sort of lesser money, that we get the most yield out or most fruit, most juice from the squeeze. But I think that there's a combo. I think you do need occasionally to sprinkle a little bit of magic dust, and you can't always have 21-year-olds. So I completely agree with Dark Sunji, but I think at times if there is the right player out there, we were talking about this last night, weren't we, Dave? I think if there is the right player out there if it happens to cost 70 million quid and it's a striker, then I think we need to pull the trigger and get it. And I think we're in a position, unlike many others, to be able to do it. I'd also expect, but for what it's worth, at 70 million pound. In the last 2 or 3 years, I think that 70 million pound used to buy you one of the best players in the world. Now it buys you just an above average player. I would hope that these rules, if they do maintain and do have the bite, I would hope that there would be a deflationary aspect to the market, and that we get back to some level of of reasonable values where 70 million pound goes and buys you, top players again.
Look, I agree with you, and I think it'd be in everyone's best interest to bring down the inflation in football nowadays, because all it's doing is putting more and more clubs to the brink, making more and more clubs sort of hit the wall and stuff like that, and we're losing clubs now, down lower leagues and stuff like that. So I think inflation could be brought down for everybody, and it'd be good for everyone. But big up, Dark Sun G, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. And he also goes on to say, where is it that we should be looking at? Jong Woo Yoon from Stuttgart and Huang Imbiom from Chevesta, 2 great players in their 20s. I'll definitely have a look at them, Dark Sunji, and I'll let you know on the next live stream that you're in what my thoughts are on them. But just the last thing I would add to that is I do think if you could sprinkle the team with a couple of star players, what it does then is it grabs all them 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that we've got right now. It makes them improve. It drags them to a new level when you've got great players to sprinkle in and around them. It also shows them what they need to achieve to get to that level, how they need to behave on the pitch, off the pitch, etc. So I definitely wouldn't be turning my back on it. Got 2 more super chats, and then Shawnee, I have 1 more question for you, and then we will let you go to, I was going to say the promised land, but it's not, is it? It's hell on earth, the dentist. Mr. Box Office TV with Alex THSC. By the way, Alex, you've been a stranger for quite some time. When are you going to come back and see me and have a conversation, my man? It's long overdue. But Shawnee, Sorry, Sean, based on what this guy Nusa is going to be good. So basically saying, what do you base it on? Sorry, based on Anstein. Sorry, stop playing Football Manager. Stop ducking debating. What Alex is calling you out here, it feels like, Sean.
I don't know. I'm not sure what he's saying though. He's apologized 4 times. You haven't got to apologize to me, Alex. It's okay. I know you're wrong all the time. It's fine. I don't know. Based on what this guy Nusa going to be good. I don't know what that means. Sorry,
what do you base your opinion on that he's going to be like, very, very good or a wonder kid?
Oh, sorry. Based on what this guy? Okay. Well, based on what I've seen of him, based on his stats, based on visual evidence, based on statistical evidence, the same thing as anybody else bases any opinion on. What you've read, what you've seen, what you've read, and what you know, right? Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I've watched him. I've watched the Y Scout allows you to drill into the specific stuff that he does. So you haven't got to watch every single game just to grab the minutes where he's doing things. You can watch every little involvement that he does in every game if you want, or you can dial it into specific categories. And what I've seen, and then I compare that to the stats, and to me, he looks like a really good prospect. But there's always that kind of, you don't know if he's going to do it at a tougher level, right? It's Belgium league is not the same as the Premier League, but yeah, not ducking anything with you, mate, as well, Alex. If you want to debate, I don't know what you want to debate on, but
look, I do feel like Alex sort of says this about every player that Tottenham are linked with, or every player that Tottenham signed, and I feel like he does, and that's why you live permanently in the mud, Alex. Full mud baths for you every evening, my man. But also, you're ducking debate. Come and debate me, my man. I'm always open for a debate. So is Shawnee. So stop ducking debates, Alex. Stop ducking them. But good to see you, though, sir. And I really do hopefully that you and the brother and that are keeping well, and you haven't ripped each other's heads off, because I know he's an Arsenal fan. It's very cagey at the moment. But big up, Alex. Great to see you, my man. And by the way, never lose what you have. I, as much as I don't agree with you, I actually think you're very, very entertaining. Orlock Speech says, yeah, he's brilliant. Orlock Speech says, for City, Emerson right back, Porro right wing, no Johnson. Look, I'm going to put out a video. Well, I was planning on putting out a video next week. On why I think Tottenham should move Porro to right wing. They've done something very, very similar with Gareth Bale. Started off at left back, moving to left wing, and he's never, ever looked back since. And he went on to become the player that he did. And, he was able to affect games a lot more going forward because he didn't have the defensive responsibilities. Can Porro be that type of player? One thing I'd also say is I am worried about City potentially looking to come back in for him come the summer or a bit further on. And if they do, will he go back? It'd be hard. I think it's hard to turn him down. Kyle Walker jumped shit. But look, that's something I'll definitely be looking at, moving Porro to right wing. Johnny, anything you quickly want to say on that, my man?
I think there's lots of opportunities for us to utilize. This is one of the great things about having versatile players that have got strong mentalities, that are willing to adapt and learn, and that aren't necessarily just specific players for one position, is that you can adapt, and there's massive amounts of incidental value in that. Like the opposition not knowing who's going to be playing where means they can't set up and practice and prepare, for the same thing. Like when we played Conte ball, it was the same 11 playing in the same system every week, right? So if you were coming up against a team that had 2 games that week, 1 game in Europe, 1 game, and then faced us on the weekend, they wouldn't have to they could dedicate all of their time that they could allocate to Tottenham just practicing for the same sort of things, because we were very predictable. This year, I know we play a similar style of football, but with the players that we now have, I would hope that there is going to be some sort of adaptation to players like Pedro Porro. I think in certain games, there's definitely a need for him to be there. I think we've now got 3 centre-backs, and with Dragusin, you can put him on the right. A lot of people are asking for us to play a wing-back system, back 3 with 2 wing-backs. I don't want that, and I don't think that's the plan. I think, but you might see situations where we do have 3 centre-backs, and they'll interpret that as a back 3. But I think it will still maintain a back 4. But like you were saying last night, right? Of the 3 of those centre-backs, who's the best with the ball? Probably Romero. So you then put him at right back and let him then invert into a sort of second 6 double pivot thing. That for me, there's options there, and Pedro Porro could be put up the top end of the pitch. I think that Pedro Porro is fine as a right back when he's got someone like a Sarr and a Decky that can get back and help him defend. But when there's no Sarr and there's Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side, he doesn't get the support he needs and we're too vulnerable. So I think that there's pros and cons to lots of different varieties, lots of different systems and solutions, but we do have options. And I think that as of next summer, I think there's more time in the summer for us to prepare for those things. I think trying to change the system mid-season, unless you've really got time to kind of spend practicing for that on the training ground, I think that that's sometimes too risky, right? To experiment mid-season. But you'd hope that in the summer we'll be looking at the squad and thinking of different ways in which to use these versatile players.
Do you know what? I absolutely agree with that, Shawnee. Just quickly on that, I think, come the summer will be the time to work on it. You can work with Porro, give Porro time to work as a right winger like they did in the summer. Give him time to learn these defensive abilities. And I think you might see positional changes for one or two other players, heading into next season. But right now, it doesn't make sense sort of to do it exactly right now. I also seen that stuff flying around on social media about the wing-back system. I mean, it just makes me laugh. And this isn't a dig at you or that, Shawnee, but most people last summer didn't want the wingback system, and now everyone's getting behind this sort of post on social media about a wingback system. It's absolutely madness.
I don't want it.
And no, not you. I know what you've said. Look, for me, I think it's absolutely madness. I don't see it happening. What I do see happening is, I agree with Shawnee, you might see some positional changes within the system we already sort of employ. We'll take this one from Tigaro, Shawnee. Then I've one more question I want to ask you, and then I'll let you get to the dentist, my man. Tigaro, big up, my man. He says, big up, Sean and Dave. Big up, my man. Up for you, keeping well. Is it worth spending on Pietro Hincapié? There has been some tenuous links. I think he is a star. Saying that, just quickly as well, Sean, there's also links out there today linking Spurs back with Jean-Claire Todibo. In terms of centre-back signings, do you think we're done in the market in that sort of department, or would you open the door for one more like a Hincapié?
Well, yeah, Hincapié, however you say it, can play left back and left-sided centre back, right? So similar to the links to that guy from Bologna that we're linked with, or whose name escapes me. Similar to the links with the guy from Bournemouth, Lloyd Kelly. I think that's what Tottenham are looking to do if they are going to get someone else. I don't think there's any chance of another centre back in January. I'd be very surprised. But in the summer, you might see some movement if Ben Davies. If we sunset Ben Davies, I don't know if that's going to happen. There's been links with him to Leeds and things, but look, I'm okay with Ben Davies. I know you're not. I know we just sort of disagree a little bit on Ben Davies. I always think that Ben Davies has been sort of packaged up as like Davies and Dyer. I think they should be separated. I think Ben Davies has always done a dependable job, and he's pretty good. Not ideal. He's not perfect for the system either. He's not fast enough, but I think he gets a bit of a rough ride at sometimes. I'm okay with us having what we've got. Plus, you've got Dorrington and Ash Phillips, who's really starting well at Plymouth. And then you've got Vescovic coming through. If we overload with too many new now players, then I think that you close the door on the progress of the youth. And I think that part of the process of Tottenham's new vision is, having this youth system. So I think it's important that we, remember that. So I don't personally think we are going to do anything in January, and I would be surprised if we went and spent money on a Hincapié, who's a lot of money. He's a really good player. I really do like him, but I have got room in my mind here for thinking that Tottenham are going to do what they've done with the Dragusin, who is a right back / right-sided centre back, or Romero, who could play there. I think we might open ourselves up with the option to do something similar on the left, and maybe we've done that with Van der Ven. Although I don't really see Van der Ven playing left back, although I know he has done when he was in Germany at Wolfsburg. So I think that it's possible, but with Hincapié specifically, I don't think so, Tigaro. No. Great player.
I agree with Shawnee. I don't think you'll see any more centre-back signings this summer. Or this January. I think come the summer, you have the option if you want to maybe offload Ben Davies. If you do, that means you open up the window to be able to bring someone else in here. And I'd like 5 centre-back options going into next season, whether that's 4 senior and 1 sort of like an Ashley Phillips, or whether that's, but for me, I think you'd be looking at that more come the summer. And I wouldn't write it out of the question. Spurs do, Postecoglou likes versatility, but Spurs do need someone that that can play, sort of back up to Destiny Udogie, or can even come in here and compete with Destiny Udogie if you don't like the term backup. So left-sided defenders that can play left back and centre back, I'd still keep on your list come the summer, because that's exactly what Ben Davies is. And if he does get shipped on, that opens up the market on that Tigaro. So I'm not going to crush regimes just yet. I'll leave it until the summer and we'll take it from there, my man. Shawnee, just before we let you go though, buddy, I do want to ask you, lad. Nusa has done most of his work off the left-hand side for Club Brugge and Norway. Are the club doing some sort of long-term thinking, long-term planning, strategic planning, whatever name you want to put it on it, but bringing in a long-term successor for Son? Because I do think ultimately if he comes in, that's where he probably will play or get his minutes.
Yeah, 100%. Look, Sonny's 31, right? He's having a really good season. He really is, and he's been repositioned back into a 9 role, and he's done very well. But for me, look, he's 31 years old, and he's not going to go on forever. And unfortunately, the impact of time speeds up as you go through your 30s, right? Just like when much as I would hate to think about it, but when I'm like, the difference between 70 and 75 is a lot less in your health than 75 to 80 or 80 to 85, right? Like the impact speeds up, and I feel like so when he turns 33, he's going to regress quicker than he is, between 30 and 31 or 31 and 32. So, and we have to keep one eye on that. And yeah, look, you're going to need someone to come in who can learn from him as well. And so, yeah, for me, I think we probably got 2 more. I mean, how long has Sonny got left on his contract? 18 months, right? His contract expires at the end of next season.
Well, I don't know. Didn't they trigger an option to take up an extra year on it? Wasn't there?
Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, fair enough. So what? So 2.5 more years we've got with him, yeah?
Potentially, unless that was triggered to extend it out to 18 months. So I'll go and double check that and come back with that for the next show we do, Shawnee. But yeah, in and around that anyway. In and around that.
Okay, so like if he's only got 18 months left, then it'll be interesting to see whether we extend it. I would imagine we will, because there'll still be there'll be a lot of commercial value in him, right? Even at 32, 33, he'll still sell shirts every year and stuff, and so there'll be some sort of 4D chess in Levy's mind there around what's the right thing to do. If we do have 2.5 more years left, then maybe that will be the end of it, because by then he'll be 33 years old, and he's a player that relies on his pace. So yeah, look, it's important that Tottenham think about the legacy, right? We got to move on. There's going to be a time when when he's kicked his last ball, just like I said last summer, there's a time when Harry Kane will have kicked his last ball and scored his last goal for Tottenham. Tottenham will move on. We'll still support the club. And and hopefully Antonio Nusa, for me, hopefully he is the next Sonny and can come in and do wonderful things.
Do you know what? Just on that quickly, Sean, then I'm going to put in your video. Actually, I'll do that now, because we better let you go, my man. And then I'll have my quick opinion on that. Let me go to the private chat. This is your video here. Shawnee, where can people find you, my man? Look, everyone knows where you are, but why did they need to check out this video?
Yeah, Spurs Talk Show. This particular video is just about the fella Szymensky from Poland, who currently plays over in Besiktas. But I've caveated the whole thing by saying, look, the guy who started this rumor about this guy coming to Tottenham is the same guy who said that Tottenham had signed Altay Bayindir. He's the same guy that said that Tottenham had signed Victor Nelson, and the same guy that said we were signing Aktapoglu from Galatasaray. So he's got a very liberal use of journalistic integrity. He likes to say things have happened when they haven't. So I was like, look, I don't know if there's any, but obviously since then the rumors of this guy coming to Tottenham have been spread by other aggregators. So Szymensky, is that I don't know how you say his name, but I see Michael's a big fan of him. Look, he looks like a good player. So I talked about him. I've talked about him in the video. But yeah, you can find me at Spurs Talk Show, guys, and appreciate you all. Wish me luck. I'm going to have to go and get
put the praying emoji in the chat for Shawnee about that. I want to see about 20. But Shawnee, best of luck with the dentist, my man. Hopefully it goes well, and you don't need any fillings or any work done. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Tomorrow, right? Devil's Advocate, probably.
Yes, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, I'll text you later on tonight. Thanks, mate. Appreciate you guys.
See you, Shawnee.
See you, chat.
Have a good afternoon, my man. Everyone, like I said, get the praying emojis in there for Shawnee. Light a candle if that's what you'd like to do. And here is the link to his latest video if you guys want to go and check that out. I'll run myself for another sort of few minutes, and then I will end it off. Now, just on the back of what Shawnee is saying, I do think that the club are trying to maybe learn a lesson from what we've done with Harry Kane, it's clear to see we did not really plan for Harry Kane's exit to the best that we probably could. And I think they're trying to learn lessons from that. And I think it would be wise to get Antonio Nusa in here, but give him time to learn off Sonny while Son's in his prime. You know, get him to learn the little tricks, little bits and movements that can be passed down from experienced players to younger players, you know. So for me, I think it makes absolutely sense. You know, he does, like I said, he does a lot of his best work off the left wing for Norway, for Club Bruges, which shows to me maybe he is here to come in here and be Son's long-term replacement whenever he does sort of decide to hang up his boots. And I think it's very, very clever, allowing the kid to learn off Sonny. But also, we see with Brennan Johnson, he's in there week in, week out because of injuries, and it's not doing him any favor. His performances are getting worse and worse and worse. With young players like that, you need to dip them out and bring them back in. Start them sometimes, bring them off the bench at others, you know, until they learn that they have to be at some sort of consistent level if they want to get into the sort of first team. So that's the way I'd be handling that. And I do think it's clever by Tottenham to bring this guy in here and let him learn off Sonny. He reminds me a lot of Sonny the way he's direct, likes to drive at people, push the fullback into the box. Now, of course, Sonny's 10 times better, you know, at this moment in time, in terms of composure, finishing, all-round game and stuff like that. But it's a good move to bring Nusa in here and get him to learn off Sonny so that, you know, he can sort of come in and give us what Son sort of was giving us, if that was the case. Pottermac says, come on, Davies, there's no replacement for Kane. There's no replacement for Son. They're different gravy. Look, I do understand the point you're getting, and I'm not saying that Nusa, you know, is going to be Sonny, right? But can he learn off Son and to be able to adapt quickly? And when the time does come, hopefully, you know, it's not for another 4 to 5 years that Son sort of, you know, hangs up his boots, then we have a guy sort of ready to come in and hit the ground running. Look, I do get what you're saying, Pot Matt. You know, he's not going to be the new Sonny. No one can ever be Son. I get your point on that. Adrian Chia says, if buying up and coming is the key, then Chelsea got future titles locked up for a long time. We laugh at the misery now, but they might have the last laugh. Look, with Chelsea, what they fail to understand is you wanted to basically build one squad straight in one window and go and hit the ground running. It was always going to take time for the right manager to come in here and be able to get his team. Plus, you know, Chelsea have a squad of something like 30, 35, nearly sort of 40 players. So it's impossible for a manager to really come in and sort of, you know, hit the ground running. These are my teams, you know, this, that, and the other. He has to see everybody, which takes longer than any other manager going into most clubs. And I do think it'll take a few years to get Chelsea sorted out. And once they do, if a manager is given that time, yeah, I do think you'll see Chelsea back up there in the future, looking to go and win sort of league titles. I'd argue right now they're probably one prolific striker away from actually looking like sort of a half decent outfit. And once you start winning games, you become better, more confident, which equals better performance and stuff like that. Chelsea, you know, do have the potential to get back there. I wouldn't write them off. But look, you know, I'm not saying, you know, buying up and coming is absolutely key. I'm just saying that it is a process Real Madrid do. It's a process Barcelona have done down the years before their financial difficulties. You know, it's a process that Liverpool have done, Man City have done, Man United have always done. Despite trying to strengthen their first team, they do look around and try and bring in, you know, young talent to the club. Because like I said, you know, you can't keep spending money every single transfer window. At some point, you're going to reach a wall, and you have to have other players that you can turn to come in and do a job. But look, Adrian Chia, I'm telling you, you know, watch Chelsea. You just never know. You know, I wouldn't say this season they're a write-off, but next season, if they buy a decent striker, I think you might see things change a little bit at Chelsea. Jacob Anderson says, do you think Spurs need to spend big money in the summer for a real difference maker who's already established? If so, who would that be? I want Wirtz. Look, great attacking player, you know, can unlock the door. Absolutely brilliant Wirtz. Do you know what, Jacob? I'm of the belief. You look at the amount of wages that Tottenham have got off the books this summer. Lloris 110k, Dyer 80k, Perisic 170k. Jed Spence, whatever he was on, that's now been sort of shifted and stuff like that. You know, we've offloaded about 300 to 400k worth of wages this January. Now, what I would say is I do think some of the players that we've let go, like Dyer, Lloris, Perisic, because they are they classify as foreign on the registration for the Premier League. they've been shipped on to make way for the likes of Dragusin, Edoji, and that, who basically are registered as an under-21 player right now, but come this summer, going into the new season, they will have to take up one of the 17 foreign spots that we're allowed in the squad registration. So I think it's future planning for that. But with the wages off the book, it leaves it open for an absolute marquee signing that you control them wages at. For me, come the summer, I think this is what this project would need. I think it needs a flagship signing, a real sort of statement sign, a real difference maker to come in here and really push this project forward, and it'll also make other people go look at Tottenham and go, ooh, we have to be a bit wary, because right now, no matter how we do, the perception around there is that they'll fall off at some point. You bring in one or two marquee signings with the right mentality, it'll take this to the next level. For me, I would like to see that signing maybe in the midfield somewhere, personally. I know you've got Bentancur, you've got Madison, Sarr, and Basuma, but outside of that, I want more options. And I think, I would like a marquee signing in midfield, but also I'd love a marquee signing up front. If you're talking about up front, I think of Dusan Vlahovic. I know there's sort of, many people are split on him. He didn't have a great season last season, granted. But this season, he's performing a hell of a lot better. But last season, when people look at the stats, they just go, not a great season. But what the stats don't tell you is the change in management, change in coaching staff, the turmoil that was happening at Juventus last season, which will all have a knock-on effect to two players' performances and stuff like that. So for me, I would love a Dusan Vlahovic or an Evan Ferguson to come in here as a striker, as a statement signing. Midfielders, I've made it no secret, I'd love that guy, Kefran Tora. Maybe not a statement signing, but I would love him to come in here. Kefran Tora from Nice, if anyone remembers, we played him in a friendly last season over the break with coming back from the World Cup, and he absolutely bossed our midfield. He absolutely bossed it in terms of engine, getting after the ball, winning it back, good on the football. He would be the guy I'd like to bring in here to add competition. But yeah, up front, for me, Vlahovic, Ferguson. I'll see how Tony gets on between now and the end of the season. Potentially and Ivan Toney as well, Jacob Anderson. Let me know your thoughts on them, though, my man. And look, I'll throw the question back at you. Sort of, do you think there's... Oh, well, you've already said Wirtz, actually, yeah. Look, that guy, I'd absolutely love to come in. Personally, I don't think Spurs will pay the money that it'll take to get him out of... where is he now? Leverkusen, I think. I don't think Spurs will pay the money to get him out of there personally. However, I think he's an absolute top talent. And hopefully he adapts to the Premier League better if he does come than what maybe Kaya Wirtz did, Jacob Anderson. But he is definitely a top player, and I'd absolutely love him. Just have a feeling you might see him at City or somewhere further down the line. Just quickly, I'm just going to quickly sift through, see if there's any more sort of comments. Yes, here we are. Dave H, thank you, Shawnee Maddox. He says, big up, Dave. It's my grandson's 8th birthday today. His name is Kane. Could you wish him a happy birthday? Cheers. Kane, my man, happy 8th birthday. Hopefully you have an absolute fantastic day. You've got great family around you who are going to take care of you and make sure you have a great day. Look, 8, it's a great day. It's a great age. Hopefully you've got plenty of toys. You get spoiled and just have a great day. Love the name as well. If anyone knows me, I'm a big fan, or I was a big fan of Harry Kane before he moved to Bayern Munich. But honestly, I really do hope you have a great day, great birthday, Kane. Big yourself up, my man, and enjoy your day. And hopefully you can swing like a nice little chipper or something out of it as well. A chipper would be like a McDonald's or something like that, Absolutely love that. Big yourself up. Big up, JJ, as well. Good to see you. Shawnee Maddox, this is interesting. I'm going to take this and then I'm going to end off, and I encourage everyone, big up Hollywood Hotspur as well. I encourage everyone then, when I finish this, to go and check out my loan report, where every Monday, 9 a.m., I'll drop a stream for you guys. It's pre-recorded, updating you on how our players are getting out on loan. And then also tomorrow, every Tuesday, 9 a.m., I'll be dropping an academy report as well, letting you know all the latest news, how the under-21s and 18s are going. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. But Troy Parrott's a very, very interesting one, Shawnee. This guy came through the academy. He was playing in the UEFA Youth League and he was banging in goals for fun. And at the time, he was too good to be playing in the youth system, and they had to take him out and get him into sort of first-team football. However, when an academy player makes that step up from the under-21s to first-team football, one of the biggest things you want to avoid is injuries. with Troy Parrott, he has suffered a hell of a lot of injuries in his development years, which has held him back. And I get it. He's a name that has been touted around the Spurs fan base since this guy was 16 years of age. However, when you look at him now, he's still only 21 years of age. Still only 21. So for me, he still has another year or two at least. And he's absolutely ripping it up at Excelsior. I think he's made, 15 appearances and has 6 goals, 3 assists. Goal and assist at the weekend. And Excelsior Rotterdam are not one of the biggest teams in Netherlands. They're sort of a mediocre team, and he's doing very, very well there. And if Tottenham don't give him a chance next summer in pre-season to stake his claim, there's Serie A teams, Championship teams, and teams like that are interested in the guy and sort of willing and ready to take a punt. Look, it's a big ask for Troy Parrott, to sort of make the step up to the Tottenham side. But for me, I'd like to see him given that opportunity pre-season and then sort of decide his future from there. Because what I will say is he has got himself refocused and back on track. I do think he maybe lost that for a little bit, but he's back fully focused, back on track. He's been putting in extra work before the summer, before pre-season, because I think he got it. He had to have a big season this year, no matter where he went. And so far, so good. So off the basis, if this continues until the end of summer, I would give him an opportunity pre-season, and then I'll judge it from there. But I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, bring him into the first team squad next year. I want to see what he's like in pre-season, Shawnee. But I would not write him off yet. I really wouldn't write him off yet. And plus, I really want him to come good. We could do with him for the national team. And, he's suffered national team-wise as well. I remember he made his debut against New Zealand, 17 years of age, and he looked like the guy that was going to be trusted going forward. But because of injuries and stuff like that, he's fallen down the pecking order. He's now way behind Evan Ferguson, behind Adam Ida, behind Ogbene, Mikey Johnson, people like that. And he's got a big sort of task to get himself back in there, but it's doable. Like I said, he's only 21 years of age and he's got time on his side. So let's wait and see what happens in that regard. Any late questions for your big boy, Davey? Let's see. Let's hope Nusa. Look, I really do hope so. I absolutely love this guy. Big up Sweeney Todd as well. We really do need to be given a bit of playing time to the youngsters. Look, good news, which I'll be putting out tomorrow, is I do believe Alfie Dorrington and Donnelly will be staying in and around the club up until the summer, which gives them that opportunity. My man, big up Sweeney Todd. Dan Davenport, who was running to be next Ireland manager, Dave. Oh, look, there's a big clamour for Sam Allardyce. Personally, I'd probably take him. At least he'd get you sort of results and stuff like that. Look, personally, see, international football is different. You're not going to get a young manager to come in and take the job that plays this modern way of playing. You're most likely going to get a manager like Sam Allardyce and people like that. So for me, it's just about picking the best you can. Look, we had Mick McCarthy. Wasn't the greatest of football to watch, but we were a hell of a lot better to watch because we were getting results than what we have been under Stephen Kenny. So just someone that has a bit of know-how about them to get us over the line, to be brutally honest, my man. And most importantly, I think it has to be someone that is going to center everything around Evan Ferguson. When we brought Ferguson into the senior team set up under Stephen Kenny didn't really adapt the way he played. He played very similar to Conte in terms of 3 at the back, 2 wing backs. Now, in fairness to him, he did try and play out from the back and he tried to play a bit of football. However, beyond getting the ball, rotating the ball across the back line and out to the wing backs, there was no real sort of system or plan in place to get players in the middle on the ball, to get, the 2 strikers that we were playing running off the ball to try and make runs for other players to get on it and stuff like that. And we just didn't feed Evan Ferguson. And ultimately, you've seen Evan Ferguson get very, very frustrated, dropping almost into centre midfield to try and get on the ball. And at times I feel sorry for him. When we do get up to the forward area, people are trying to play off him. He's playing up this lovely link-up play, and other players can't do it with him. So I feel sorry for him in that regard. So for me, the next manager has to tailor the whole system around Ferguson and get the right players in and around him, in my opinion, on that regard. Dan Davenport, big yourself up, my man. And also big up Nimrod. I'm doing absolutely great, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well as well, sir. But guys, I'm not going to waste any more of your afternoon. I think I'm going to end it off here. Hopefully I'll see you back here later on for a fan show. I'll let you know on that throughout the day. Big up Paul G as well. Look, I know Paul G has his preconceived opinions on Parrott. Now, in fairness, he did actually, I think he watched them for NK Don, so I do take what he has to say in terms of Paul G. But look, I'll have to have another conversation with you about Parrott, man. I'll have to, because he is ripping it up. But guys, that's it. If you have enjoyed this and you do like these shows with myself and Sean, just a couple of little things for you guys to do. Smash that like button. Really, really helps us out, but also pushes it out to other people to be able to enjoy it just like you guys do. If you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. I would love to get to 15K before the season ends. What was the last one that you guys need to do? Oh, yes. If there's future stuff you want myself and Shawnee to discuss on future shows, because what I will do is I will take sort of topics that are out in and around, but there's also time for questions at the end for other things. So, guys, if you do want certain stuff answered by myself and Sean in future, put it in the comment section below, and I'll take it and I'll restore it for next week. But, guys, thank you very much for listening to me. I really do appreciate it. I don't understand why so many people like to come in and listen to me, but you do. I really do appreciate it, guys. I'll see you back here very soon. Go and have a great day. And like I said in my loan report, if anyone is having a bad day, let me just get this song up for you. It's absolutely a belter. Where is it? Bloodhound Gang, The Bad Touch. Now, some people may not know what it is from the off. As soon as you play it, you'll be absolutely goofing out because you all know it. I heard it yesterday on the radio, and I've played it a couple of times since, and it's just gets me in absolute great moods. But, guys, that's it from me. I'll see you back here very, very soon. Come on, you Spurs. In the big hands we trust. We never stop.